Hello, welcome back to LIVENODING. In this episode, I want to share with you how I created this kind of microscopic creature from scratch. I've done this a couple of times, right? It's very similar. This is just another variant on how you can create like a virus-looking, organic-looking creature like this. So the nodes look scary, but if you actually start from scratch, it's not that bad. The whole process is pretty simple. You start with the default cube. Let's just save this very quickly. Privacy, and you are already familiar with the setup. You're just gonna make like a filly, you know, like a extrusions, because we have like extrusion now. Nowadays we can just do it like this: subdivide the default cube, and you have rounded looking sphere. This is okay, like you can start extruding from here. However, I suggest that you also try merge by distance and just merge this using a small value. This is already more interesting, and then just use this with dual mesh. Okay, so I like this type of topology, and from here you can try extrusion. So extrude mesh, and you start to have something that's a little bit more interesting, like a Voronoi crack. These you can use this with scale elements, of course, and you can scale this just by the top, so you have like an inset. So we have now the like a durian looking object creations, and you just need to do another extrusion from the top. So you know the drill. This is where the magic happens. Just continue doing this. If you subdivide this, yeah, it's already kind of looking nice. Let's continue. Okay, so that's controlling the inset. This is the extrusion. Okay, this one is important because you want to randomize the offset, so you can control that. So this is some randomizations, and we can control the seed using group input. Okay, now we're gonna continue with extrusion. Extrude it again, just the top. This time we're gonna scale it out from the top. Okay, let's do another extrusion. Top view, and this time we scale in. So at this point you can actually just use extrusion, but with the negative value, and with negative value you're gonna get something that goes in. But maybe before we do like a negative inset, we're gonna add another extrude to the top view, and this one can actually goes inside. Then we can set smooth. Okay, now we have something. In order to make this more interesting, perhaps we can do like a random, maybe random delete of, let's see, dual mesh, extrude. So before extrude, we have the selection options. We can try using noise or something like Musgrave texture, and then compare this with a value, and based on this value we can extrude. So let's try if this works. So of course the mass grave texture is giving like a pattern across our surface of this geometry. So we can have like a random distributions or random extrude based on this texture. Okay, if you actually transform and scale this geometry, you can start to see the distribution of the mass grave texture a little bit better. Maybe we can even make this smaller. So this is mass grave distributions. Be careful with the values. Some of them is very sensitive. It might crash Blender because this is still Blender 3.1 beta. For now, just keep it simple. Yeah, we can have it like this. So the area with extrusions, we don't want to distribute any other objects. So what's gonna happen is I will use Boolean math, and from this value I will invert it, and the inverted value will be used to distribute points. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's instance on points, and then just join this geometry. Like that. Let's scatter some icosphere. So you will see from the distribution, they're gonna be scattered outside of the extrusion area. So let's use the rotations there, and we can shade smooth. The shade smooth actually works really well with the latest Blender. The vertex is getting smooth value, so if you use like a cone, plug into the instance. Okay, the cone is too big. Let's make it smaller. Reduce the depth. Okay, now we're starting to see something that's a little bit more interesting. We can make like a rounded spike. Let's distribute this using Poisson disk and small value, and increase the density max 1000. This one can be 0.05 or even smaller. All right. If it's really small value, it's starting to look like rounded spike. Maybe that's what you want. Okay, so we have our virusy looking creations once again. I like to have a bit of value here. Actually, we don't need, maybe. I'm okay with this. So basically, now we just need to add materials. I'll create two materials. One of them is a subsurface material, or just start with a color. And set material here. Switch to this mode, and we can turn on ambient occlusions. So now it's just a matter of playing with this material. So I like this extruded part to be a little bit shiny. You can add subsurface, but just maybe leave it like that. And the inside have subsurface. Subsurface is interesting. You can actually make the base color like really dark or even like black, but the inside color matters. Okay, so this is the result. Ambient occlusion subsurface is on by default. Screen space, maybe I should turn it on. And we can render this using Eevee or cycles. Cycles is more sensitive with subsurface somehow. Alrighty, so we have this. Now in order to randomize this, we want to pipe out the W. And okay, the scale can be randomized. So we can randomize the seed and the W. So we can have like a multiple different variants. If you want to randomize the color, back to the shader, let's take a look. Okay, based on the objects geometry, we can randomize the color. Okay, random per island or random per object. Okay, that's interesting. So it's randomized the instance instead. Let's cut this out. Switch to the other material. Paste. Oh. Random hue. Plug this there. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a little bit more interesting. Alright, so that's pretty much how I created this virusy looking creatures. There's a lot of variations that you can do further, just play around with it. So we already create something that's completely different from before. But I quite like this. It's not perfect. It feels organic. Maybe the extrusion here can be randomized using noise on the vector. You can try that. You can get something that's more interesting maybe. But anyway, that's how I created this geometry nodes virusy looking creatures. Hopefully you find this useful. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.